There are 3 million realtors nationwide, so how in the world are you going to weed through all the mediocre ones and the not so good ones? And that's what this video is about. Okay, so every agent looks like a rock star online. So how are you going to weed through these mediocre agents? And the answer is by asking the right questions. Don't go on social media to see if they sold that $20 million house. You have to ask specific questions to weed through this. So question number one is, hey agent, what are you gonna do in a multiple counter situation? And most mediocre agents will say, oh, I'm gonna get you the best price and we're gonna go with that one, yeah. And that's not the right answer. The right answer is we got to look at a lot of things in that contract, which is things like financing. Do they have a strong lender? How much are they putting down? Are they helping paying for closing costs? How long is the duration of the escrow? And no matter what, when you have a multiple counter situation, you should always have net sheets for each one of the offers, because really what's important is how much profit you're making your seller. So you really want to go with the one that's going to be the quickest, the smoothest, and the one that's going to net the most profit. So if they're not telling you those things, look out. So when you're interviewing these realtors to sell your house, this is really trying to vet the ones who are experienced and the ones that are sharp on their feet. So this next question is a really good one because you really get to weed out whether or not they're experienced agents or not. And the question is, other than price, what do you negotiate in a contract? And if they say, well, there's a lot of things and they're stalling a little bit. No, that's an amateur, that's a mediocre agent. So things you want to negotiate up front, which by the way, in my opinion, is the most important part of the whole contract because this is legally binding. You know, price and terms, obviously, but things like waiving the appraisal or repair request. Maybe you're going to sell the house as is, but if there's big ticket items that need repair, you're going to want to negotiate and put that in the contract up front. Also, any rent back. So these are all things that you negotiate up front, and there's a million more. But if your agent that you're interviewing can't tell you that right up front, you're working with an amateur agent. Okay, so you're also trying to ascertain whether or not these agents you're interviewing are in the business full-time or have the right connections. So you're gonna wanna ask this question. Tell me the name of your photographer and your stager. So if someone asks me that question, of course, I'm a seasoned agent, I'm full-time, I'm well connected. I have at least 3 photographers that I consider almost friends. We've been working the business for years. They're, really top of their game. And as far as the stagers, I have 3 or 4 different stagers with different styles that would probably match these different houses. So having someone that's seasoned will probably do the best job as far as presenting your house in the best light, staging your house in the best light. And if those amateur realtors don't have that in their toolbox, ooh, you're just probably not going to get the best service. Okay, this next question is testing your agent's emotional intelligence. And you ask this question, what are buyers looking for in today's real estate market? The amateur is going to tell you, I don't know, it depends. Sometimes they're looking for 2 bedrooms, sometimes they're looking for a pool, or it just depends, right? So no, it's not the answer to the question if you are a seasoned agent. The right answer is, well, you know what? Buyers are looking for an emotional attachment, or they want to fall in love with the property. And they can oftentimes have a list of, these are all my parameters, this is my wish list, but really what it comes down to is the home has to feel like a home. So you really have to understand buyers' psychology. When I'm working with buyers, they tell me all the things they have to have, and then they give me houses they want me to show them. And I oftentimes will show them 3 other properties, and 9 times out of 10, they oftentimes go with my selection just because I understand buyer psychology. And if you're a listing agent, you're also gonna wanna understand what those buyers come into the house, what are they looking for? How do you sell them the house? Some buyers, need a little bit more guidance than others. So the big difference between an amateur versus a seasoned agent is that they understand buyer psychology. Okay, this is another question to really weed through who's an amateur versus who's a pro. And the question is, how often do you follow up with the buyer's agent or title or escrow? And if they say things like, oh, well, it depends, every transaction's different. And no, it's not different. It's all the same. And the answer is a minimum of once a week. And I mean minimum. And that's with the smoothest sailing, all cash kind of offer. But I would say I would be following up with a buyer's agent probably 2 to 3 times a week. As far as the lender, I'm on that guy's case at least 4 times a week. As far as escrow is concerned, that's probably every day. Title, they're kind of plug and play unless there's an issue that shows up on the title, if there's a lien on the property or whatever. So I would say that these people that I just mentioned transaction, you're in contact with them 3 to 4 times a week if you're doing it right. Okay, this next question is also to weed out the amateur versus the pro. And this question is, how many transactions on average do you close in a year? And the right answer is a minimum of at least 12. So you wouldn't have more than 12 transactions in a year. You're also testing their honesty, because you can always go and check out how many properties someone sold. And if you don't know, you can always contact me, I'll tell you. And the reason why that's important is because you have to do it, over and over and over again to be in your A game. So just filling out the forms, understanding car forms, understanding the contract, like you got to be doing it a lot to have really good results. Make sure the agent that you're going to hire has a lot of transactional work, and I'm talking recently. This is a really important question to ask agents you're interviewing, and that is, hey, what happens if you don't sell my house in 30 days? Now, the amateur agent's gonna be like, well, we tested the market for 30 days and we didn't get any offers at the price you like, so let's reduce your price. And that's the standard answer. A professional is gonna tell you, well, let's look at your price point. Like, for example, luxury market is much different than, let's say, the lower end market, right? So the days on market calculation is really important to look at. So in our area right now, the average days on market for a house that's in the 2 million is about, we'll just say 78 days, okay? So why in the world would I reduce a price after 30 days? So this conversation needs to be had up front. So you're gonna bring in your average days on market if you're a professional in each different price categories in your area, and you're gonna say, let's talk about when a price reduction is something we should look into. And you're gonna look at the averages. And the other thing I tell these sellers is I said, hey, listen, you can go line up 1,000 different agents at that front door, and they're all going to come in with the same comps. And the question is, what strategy are they going to take to market? Are they going to list your house above market? Or are they going to list their house at market value? Or are they going to be below market value? And really, that depends on what strategy you take as far as price reduction. So if you're going to list your house above market, you can look at the comps. We all know what the market value is. If you're going to list your house above market value, then you know that based on the days on market, you're probably going to expect let's say a price change at 78 days or a price reduction. So what I do as a professional agent is I will actually write that in the listing contract, because we've already had it up front. There's no hidden secrets. There's no like, oh, what are we going to do next? Expectation is up front. And if you're dealing with the pro, they will do something very similar. So I love going on listing presentations. In fact, that's my favorite part of my whole job. I just love it. I love meeting new people, and I really love the challenge of winning the listing presentation. And when it's a competitive listing presentation meeting, I have my competitors in there interviewing for the same job. I even get more excited because I know I'm going to shine. I'm very good at presenting, and honestly, I feel like the seller is very lucky to have me. I am diligent, I'm disciplined, I'm determined, and all that other stuff. But what I do is at the very end of my listing presentation, I will give the seller a list of these 13 questions to ask the other agents, because I'm confident these other agents are not going to be able to answer these questions as well as I can, because number one, I'm already prepared for the answers. And at the end, I'm like, well, let's make sure we covered everything on these 13 questions, because I think you really need to understand the answers to these things. So number one, the seller is like, whoa, look how organized she is. And then guess what? My competition's going to come in and he's going to get out these 13 questions. And they're like, oh, I'm not prepared. And these are hard questions. So by the way, if you want a copy of these 13 questions, just leave me a message or contact me and I'm more than happy to send you a copy of it. All right, well, that's it for me today. If you guys have any questions, please contact me. And if you got any benefit out of this video, please smash that like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next video.